Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello out there, folks. How are you doing? This is the Ray Warner Show. Those of you that listen to me know who I am, and we are going to be talking about a lot of interesting stuff today. There certainly has been an interesting news week, has it not? Lindsey Graham, I'm going to bring you that. As you know, we've been going through the candidates as they announce one by one. This is Lindsey. I actually had to look this up. Up until this point, I've been keeping them straight in my head, the order of their announcing. I actually had to look up whose turn it was this week. Lindsey Graham announced he's running for president in 2016 on June 1st, so it's his turn. We will take a look at his announcement speech, and there's something that I have to say about him. Also, Donald Trump announced, and what I want to take a look at is the left's response to this, particularly one writer on the left. Rachel Dozeval, if you don't know who she is, she's been in the news all week. This is a woman who's basically been living a minstrel show. She's a white woman going around masquerading as a black woman. We will take a look at this whole situation. And as by now I'm sure you've heard, there's been a shooting in South Carolina. Dylan Roof went into a church. He sat there with the worshipers, Wednesday night Bible study, and then for one reason or another just decided to open fire on these people. And we'll take a look at some of the fallout from that. Oh, and the Pope. Boy, did he set up the left this week. That was fun to watch. We'll take a look at that. All of that right here, right now, on this, The Ray Warner Show. I am your host, Ray Warner. Thank you so much for listening in to the show today. If you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, if you just feel the need to rant or vent, maybe you just want to tell me to shut up, you can feel free to do that as well. The email address is theraywarnershow@gmail.com. Lindsey Graham, senator from South Carolina, big-time rhino, often referred to as Lindsey Grahamnesty, has entered the race, and this was his speech that he gave, or the highlights anyway, from Central, South Carolina. Central's the name of the town, not just the location. Central, South Carolina. Lindsey Graham.
Welcome to Central, South Carolina. Some of you have known me since my family lived in the back of the bar in that building. But I'm pretty sure no one here, including me, ever expected to hear me say, I'm Lindsey Graham, and I'm running for President of the United States. I want to be president to protect our nation that we all love so much. I want to be president to defeat the enemies that are trying to kill us. Not just penalize them or criticize them or contain them, but defeat them. Ronald Reagan's policy of peace through strength kept America safe during the Cold War. Remember those times? But I've come to conclude we will never enjoy peaceful coexistence with radical Islam, because its followers intend to destroy our way of life. However, America can be and will be secure only if we have strength. Security through strength will protect us. The Obama administration and some of my colleagues in Congress have substituted wishful thinking for sound national security strategy. Every day the headlines attest to the failures of the Obama-Clinton policies. It is sad for me to report to you, but Barack Obama has made us less safe. Simply put, radical Islam is running wild. They have more safe havens, more money, more capability, and more weapons to strike our homeland than any time since 9/11. They are large, they are rich, they're entrenched. As president, I will make them small, poor, and on the run. We must take the fight to them, building lines of defenses over there so they can't come here. Building up and supporting regional forces to go after their safe havens that could be used to attack our homeland. The world is exploding in terror and violence. But the biggest threat of all is the nuclear ambitions of the radical Islamists who control Iran. If the United States isn't firm in our intention to deny them such weapons, Iran will trigger a nuclear arms race in the least stable region on earth, making it more likely the people who aspire to genocide will have the most effective means to commit it. Our close ally, Israel, is at risk as a result of Obama's failed leadership. With Israel, we share values, we share democracy, and our friendship is unbreakable. To our friends in Israel, I will never abandon you. I will always stand firm in supporting the one and only Jewish state. I'm running for president because I have the experience, the judgment, and the will to deny the most radical regimes the most dangerous weapons. Radical Islam is not the only threat we face. Putin seized Ukrainian territory and threatens NATO allies. China is building, literally building, their own islands in resource-rich waters claimed by other nations and challenging free navigation to the seas. Our allies feel the absence of American leadership. Our adversaries are taking advantage. American weakness anywhere hurts us everywhere. Our enemies are emboldened and our friends are going it alone. Both reactions are detrimental to our national security interest. It is time for America to come back. The next president must be an informed and decisive commander-in-chief, ready immediately to deal with the threats I've just described. We've learned over the past 6 years that speeches alone won't make us safe. If that were true, we'd be really safe. Superior power and resolve is the only way to be safe. I'm running for President of the United States because I am ready to be Commander-in-Chief on day one. To all who have served our country, raise your hand. God bless each and every one of you. I have more experience with our national security than any other candidate in this race. That includes you, Hillary. If given the privilege to serve as your president, I'll focus on the mission to defend America, to protect our way of life, and to leave the next generation a stronger, safer, better nation than we inherited. Those who believe we can disengage from the world at large and be safe by leading from behind, vote for someone else. I am not your man. Those who believe the best way to defend ourselves is to lead the world, to make history, rather than be overwhelmed by it, I ask for your support. Washington's failure to do the hard but right thing has put Social Security and Medicare in serious jeopardy. We have to fix entitlement programs to make sure people who need the benefits the most receive them. Now, to those of you who yearn for a healthy and safe environment, I will join your cause. To those who seek energy independence, I will be your champion. I am tired of sending hundreds of billions of dollars a year overseas to buy oil from people who hate us. We must have energy independence. I'll be a champion for limited and effective government and a strong national defense. I'll be a voice for social conservative values without apology. To my friends in the other party, on the big things we share a common fate. I'll work with you to strengthen the country we both love. Our differences are real, and we'll debate them. But you're not my enemy. You're my fellow countrymen. To Americans who trust neither party, I will seek the political common ground our nation so desperately needs to find. Examine my record. I got the scars to prove it. I intend to be a president not of a single party, but of a nation. If you make me president, I'll fight each day harder than I fought the day before to keep this country safe, prosperous, and as good as the people who made it great. I humbly ask for your support and your vote, I will work every day to make you proud. God bless.
So that was Lindsey Graham. You know, for the life of me, I can't think of why Lindsey Graham decided to jump into this race. You hear him, he keeps talking about, oh, he's ready. He's ready on day one. And he's going on and on about his foreign policy experience. Lindsey Graham, we already have, everybody knew Jeb Bush was going to run. So why do we have Lindsey Graham? Why do we have two super rhino, big government guys in this race? I mean, why do we need one, if you ask me? We know what wins the landslide elections. Ronald Reagan, 49 states to 1. That's how you win. Strong, bold conservatism. These guys, I don't know. You know, Jeb Bush, when Hillary's trying to figure out how to get to your left, you have a problem. And Lindsey Graham, I don't understand why Lindsey Graham thinks he can win. To be honest, I don't think that that's what it's about. I think, you know, when I was a kid and used to watch NASCAR, I did not know that there was actually teammates out there on the track. I just thought, you know, 30 cars or however many in a race, every man for himself, and, you know, that's just what I thought. But then you hear them talking about teammates. There's actually teammates out there. Of course, they're all trying to win, but they have teammates. And I think this is kind of the same thing. These guys, they're all in the race and they're all trying to win, but I think Lindsey Graham has a teammate in Jeb Bush. And I think it's kind of a win-win-win situation, because for Jeb Bush, Lindsey Graham, as far as being a Republican, he makes any other Republican look better. Lindsey Graham next to pretty much any other Republican. That other Republican will look better and look more conservative. So that's the win for Jeb Bush. The win for the Rhino establishment is that their guy gets a boost. I think the establishment wants Jeb Bush in the White House. That's who they want. That's who they're pushing for. That's who they're trying to create this air of inevitability over. And I think Lindsey Graham is their plan to help him do that. He's going to go there. He's going to help frame the debate, and he's going to make Jeb Bush look more to the right. So that's the win for the Rhinos. And then, of course, Lindsey Graham gets the win just by being able to say he's a former presidential candidate. That somehow gets added to your resume just because you ran and lost. You know, he'll be introduced as former senator and presidential candidate for the White House, you know, or something like that, Lindsey Graham. So it's going to be something on his resume, and you know, it never gets taken away. I don't know why it gets put there. It's just, you know, you ran and you lost, so you get it. And I think that's the plus for Lindsey Graham. That's his win. So anyway, I think that's why he's running. It's just he's running to help Jeb Bush get past the conservative machine that's going to be against him in the likes of Ted Cruz, Ben Carson, Rand Paul, people that can actually win this thing. Now, of course, Donald Trump also announced that he's running, and that was dinner and a show. As you know, Donald Trump is quite the showman, and he made a show out of it. Now, I want to read this piece. This is from Kevin Williamson of the National Review on the Donald Trump announcement. Here's the headline. You ready? Witless ape rides escalator. That's the headline to the story of Donald Trump announcing that he's running for president. Donald Trump may be the man America needs. Having been through 4 bankruptcies, the ridiculous buffoon with the worst taste since Caligula is uniquely positioned to lead the most indebted organization in the history of the human race. The Trump conglomerate is the Argentina of limited liability companies, having been in bankruptcy as recently as 2009. To be sure, a lot of companies went bankrupt around then. The Trump gang went bankrupt in 2004, too, and in 2001. Before that, Trump was in bankruptcy court back in 1991 when his Taj Mahal casino in Atlantic City, the nation's first casino-cum-strip club, an aesthetic crime against humanity that is tacky by the standards of Atlantic City, turned out to be such a loser that Trump could not make his debt payments. The closing of that casino has been announced at least twice. It was supposed to shut its doors in December, but it limps on. Donald Trump, being Donald Trump, announced his candidacy at Trump Plaza, making a weird grand entrance via escalator, going down, of course, the symbolism which is lost on that witless ape. But who could witness that scene? The self-made man who started with nothing but a modest portfolio of 27,000 New York City properties acquired by his millionaire slumlord father, barely out of his latest bankruptcy and possibly headed for another one, as the casino jiggle joint bearing his name sinks into the filthy mire of the one U.S. city that makes Las Vegas look respectable, a reality television grotesque with his plastic surgery disaster wife grunting like a baboon about our country's brand and his own vast wealth, and not see the peerless sign of our times. Believe it or not, that was a huge parenthesis. The paragraph started, but who could witness that scene? And then the parenthesis. All that self-made man, slumlord, jiggle joint, Vegas, plastic surgery disaster, why, all that was a parenthesis, and then, and not see the peerless sign of our times. Trump's is a fill-in-the-blanks agenda. He claims to have a plan for defeating ISIS, but he cannot say what it is for reasons of operational security, for the mission that exists only in his mind. He assures us the plan is foolproof, but whoever coined that word has never met a fool like Donald Trump. Boy, does this guy hate Trump or what? Let me just skip down here. I have a theory about Trump and his delusions, based, I'll admit, on pure superstition. There's an ancient belief, one that persists into our own time, that our names exert occult influence on our lives. And Trump's name, while potentially comical, Don Juan, doesn't offer much in the way of scrying. But his father's middle name was, true fact, Christ. Fred Christ. Obama's arrival was announced by a man called Emmanuel, but the Donald was brought into this world by a Christ himself, Fred Christ. How could a man like that not have a Messiah complex? Of course, when Trump sings How Great Thou Art, he sings it into a mirror. The problem with Messiah complexes is that there's no way to know whether you are going to rise on the third day unless somebody crucifies you. Trump has announced, and I say we get started on that. Good old Kevin Williamson of National Review. This is supposed to be just straight, honest, forward, unbiased reporting, right? Is this where you're getting your news? I sure hope not. We'll be back, folks. Stay right there.
Warning, warning. The Ray Warner Show is not approved by the Obama administration.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause.
You have reached the Bovine Chicken Chat Line, where you can chat with tons and tons of cows about chicken. All our cows are busy. While you're waiting, why not get to know some of these fuzzy fans of chicken? Heifer 9672 is a 1,200-pounder from Kentucky who likes long walks in the pasture, watching cars go by from the pasture, and eating the pasture. She's also an aspiring author, writing a book called The Burgers of Wrath. Bull 5441 is a bull from Chicago with a pierced nose and a nasty temper, but he loves people who eat chicken and the good folks at Chick-fil-A who make the chicken. Bull 5441's pet peeves are cow tipping and the color red, especially when it's meat. All our cows are still busy. Please try calling the Bovine Chicken Chat Line later. The cows thank you for calling and for not eating burgers. This call made possible by Chick-fil-A.
Our healthcare premiums are out of control. I'm not sure what we're going to do.
Haven't you heard about MediShare? It isn't insurance. It's a nationwide network of Christians who save money by sharing each other's medical bills. We get to pick our own doctors, and our share is almost 40% less than our old premium.
But what about the new law?
Well, MediShare is a health-sharing ministry, which makes it exempt from the health reform laws.
If you're a Christian and a non-smoker, log on or call to see how you could start saving on healthcare today. Call 1-866-330-8585 or visit meta-share.org. You do have a choice.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you for still listening. This is The Ray Warner Show, hosted by me, Ray Warner. If you want to email the show, if you have any comments, any questions, any concerns, or if you have any feedback you want to send me, feel free. The email address is theraywarnershow@gmail.com. Now, Rachel Dozeval is a young woman. Well, she's in her 30s, I guess middle-aged or whatever. And she has found herself in the news because of the farce that is her life. Rachel Dozeval, who in photos of her when she was 15 is white skin, freckle face, blonde hair. She's of Czech, German, and Swedish descent. But she is passing herself off as a black woman. She is right now leader of the NAA. Well, she was. She has since stepped down, but she was the leader of the NAACP in Spokane, Washington. Can you believe that? I guess it's that easy to fool these libs up in Washington. And she was in an interview with one of the local reporters up there. Seems that when she was found out, the NAACP asked for proof of her African-American heritage. I hate using the term African-American. Those of you that listen to me regularly, you know that. It is so stupid. It just doesn't mean anything. Charlize Theron is African-American. Charlize Theron, the actress, the whitest woman in America, and she is African-American. She was born in South Africa. This woman, Czech, German, and Czechoslovakia, Germany, and Sweden. 3 countries most decidedly not in Africa. If this woman is anything, she's European American. That's what she is. But she's passing herself off as black. Anyway, when she was found out, the NAACP asked her to prove this, to prove that she was black. So she whips out this photo of a black guy and says, "This is my dad." That's her proof. So if you want to be black, just make sure you got a picture in your pocket of a black guy that you can whip out and say, "This is my dad." Well, she was cornered by a reporter, and this is how that went down.
Is that your dad?
Yeah, that's my dad.
This man right here is your father? Right there?
You have a question about that?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I was wondering if your dad really is an African-American man.
That's a very... I don't know what you're implying.
Are you African-American?
I don't understand the question of... I did tell you that, yes, that's my dad. And he was unable to come in January.
Are your parents, are they white?
Yeah, now at the end of that interview, she just walked off. I mean, she didn't, thank you for your time. I mean, she just walked away. So, and that was that. But seriously, you don't understand the question. The guy asks you, "Are you African American?" I don't understand the question. Yep, that's my dad. Yeah. What is this woman doing? Why are you white and you want to be black? And for that matter, why are you black and you want to be white? Why are you anything and want to be, you just be who you are. So you're white, so what? You can identify with the black culture. And there is a quote-unquote black culture. I'm going to try to get through this without, being called a bigot. So please save your hate mail. I don't mean anything by this, but there is a black culture, if you will. Black people tend to gravitate toward basketball, for example, or, rap music, hip-hop, whatever. And it is a culture. There's other white people who really identify with it. Vanilla Ice, for example, white guy, his real name, Robert Matthew Van Winkle, that's his real name. But he's into the hip-hop thing, and he, I guess, more identifies with that culture. Eminem is another one, white guy. His name is Marshall Bruce Mathers III, hence the Eminem. But identifies with the black culture, and he's into hip-hop and has, makes his own albums and all that. You can identify with a culture, and, you can even participate in a culture. But to just say, yes, I'm black, this is my dad, a picture of someone who's not your dad, what is that? Who does that? And there's other cultures. I'm not trying to single out, this black culture. For example, the country western culture. People walking around in cowboy hats and listening to country music or whatever. I just can't understand for the life of me why this woman is trying to continue, or this fraud, why she feels the need to live in this fraud. Now, there's something else you need to know about this woman. This woman sued a college because she felt like she was being discriminated against for being white. Listen to this. This is from Breitbart. The saga of Rachel Dozeval, 37-year-old blonde-haired, freckled-faced white woman who was caught pretending to be black, just got a whole lot more interesting. Smoking Gun has uncovered a lawsuit Dozeval filed against Howard University, a historically black college, when she was still Rachel Moore in 2002. Dozeval sued the school for discriminating against her because she is white. According to the suit, Dozeval believes she had been denied a teaching post and scholarships because she is white. Dozeval also complained in the suit that Howard had removed some of her artwork from a student exhibit and that this was motivated by a discriminatory purpose to favor African American students over her. The case was dismissed, and Dozeval ended up reimbursing Howard more than $3,500 in court costs and other costs. Sometime later, Dozeval would emerge masquerading as a black woman. Eventually, she would become president of the Spokane, Washington chapter of the NAACP, and a professor of Africana Studies at Eastern Washington University, where she is no longer employed as of Friday. So after feeling discriminated against for being white at a black college, she started pretending to be black. It used to be people with mental illness like this, we got them help. Now we just turn them into rock stars. We'll be back, folks. Stay right there.
You're listening to The Ray Warner Show. Resistance is futile.
Shocking news. 666, the mark of the beast, and the NIV. God said, mansaid.com.
Bible rewires addict's brains. Geologists floored by water rock. God said, mansaid.com.
Dinosaurs and man contemporaneously. Hours of text and audio. God said, mansaid.com.
Radiometric dating and a 6,000-year-old Earth. Honey and the finger of God. Free love's deadly superbug. God said, mansaid.com.
Are you concerned about your privacy? Identity theft? Corporate eavesdropping? Who's listening in on your confidential calls? Silent Circle's innovative suite of encrypted communication services allows you the privacy you need and the ease of use you deserve. We've built a customized system focused on security, simplicity, and service, fashioned from the ground up by our team of world-renowned experts with no logging, no data farming, and no backdoors of any kind for anyone. When a Silent Circle subscriber makes a phone call, sends a text, or exchanges a file with another Silent Circle member, that transmission is encrypted, peer-to-peer, end-to-end, direct from your own mobile device or personal computer. With the addition of OutCircle access, you can even call individuals outside the circle knowing you're still encrypted to and from the silent network. Whether you're a small business concerned with corporate espionage, a governmental organization tasked to safeguard sensitive operations, or an individual protecting your family, you can trust Silent Circle's user-friendly apps and services to provide you with an affordable alternative to the risk you've had to accept until now. Silent Circle's groundbreaking global platform is the world's standard for secure mobile communications. Send a secure text across town or whisper in someone's ear 10,000 miles away. Silent Circle has revolutionized how the world communicates securely. Get in the circle.
Our founding fathers here in this country brought about the only true revolution that has ever taken place in man's history. Every other revolution simply exchanged one set of rulers for another set of rulers. But only here did that little band of men so advance beyond their time that the world has never seen their like since, evolve the idea that you and I have within ourselves the God-given right and the ability to determine our own destiny. But freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free. Thank you.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you so much for listening. This is The Ray Warner Show, hosted by me, Ray Warner. If you want to email the show with any comments, questions, or concerns, if you want to tell me to shut up, if you feel the need to rant or vent, you feel free. The email address is theraywarnershow@gmail.com. You know, Ron Fournier, our good buddy Ron Fournier, he has a plan to defeat ISIS. Have you heard this? His plan to defeat the Islamic State is through mandatory civil service. That's how he says we can defeat the Islamic State. Kind of reminiscent of Marie Harf, who was wanting to bomb them with jobs, I think, or something like that. Now, this past week we had another shooting, this time in a South Carolina church. It's a historically black church. I guess it's been there since the early 1800s, something like 1819. This shooting was carried out by a kid by the name of Dylan Roof. Clementa Pinckney was the Pinckney, P-I-N-C-K-N-E-Y, Pinckney, was the pastor at this church, and he was also a South Carolina state congressman. Now, we don't know what happened exactly, and that's how the news reported it. We don't know exactly what happened, but it must be a hate crime. It was labeled as a hate crime from the get-go, and they just went off and ran with this. Now, another state congressman from South Carolina, Todd Rutherford, immediately blamed Fox News, and this is what these liberals do. He's a liberal, and I recall the Aurora shooting. The Joker out there in Colorado, how immediately there was people trying to see if he had any attachment with the Tea Party. Do you have any attachment with the Tea Party? We always find out later these people were either Democrats or liberals or something. But anyway, I don't know what this young kid, I don't know what his party affiliation was or if he was a registered anything. He was only 21 years old. But listen to this guy, listen to Todd Rutherford, try to blame Fox News without admitting that he's blaming Fox News, and Bill O'Reilly calls him out. Listen to this.
Now, earlier today, and this is why I want to get you on, there are the victims. And you said something that bothered me a little bit. And rather than attacking you, which I don't want to do, I want to play the cut.
That's okay, I'm used to it. Go ahead.
No, but I don't do that kind of stuff. I want to hear, all right? You were describing what the mindset, in your opinion, was of this psychotic Dylan Roof. Roll the tape.
Ill-gotten belief on some wrong belief do that. He hears that because he watches the news and he watches things like Fox News where they...
You want to... You going to stand by that? I mean, it's disturbing. I know you're upset, and I know it's an emotional day.
It is disturbing, but it is disturbing to most African Americans to watch as Fox News continues to cover stories as to whether the president is truly the president.
Okay,
whether he was born in this
I don't know
country,
anybody on this network. I don't know anybody on this network who does that. No one. And I see everything here.
No,
but let me just ask you a couple of questions.
After 6 years, it has finally stopped.
All right.
So, yeah.
That's, in your opinion, that's happening, but I don't believe that's reality, and you'd have to show me that where it is. Now, you say that this Roof kid watches Fox News. Do you know that he watches Fox News?
No, what I said is
you said
like Fox
he
News. I never
watches
said that
Fox
he watched
News.
Fox News. I said, again, things like Fox News. And so, again, the rhetoric that he spoke on that in the church when he talked about...
You're equating what Dylan Roof did in that church to our commentary here? Is that what you're doing?
People raping white women, about black people raping white women. He didn't make it up. He didn't just generate that out of the sky.
Wait, I just want to be clear here.
You think people watching things...
You think that Fox
News... they think are news but are not.
You think that Fox News justifies... Mr. Rutherford, let me get a question now. Are you going to stand there tonight and say that Fox News justifies brutal crimes against black Americans? Is that what you're going to do?
No, that's you saying that, and you are, again, inflaming
You just
the
said
rhetoric.
it.
You are exactly what I'm talking about. No, sir, you said that.
No,
What I
you said it.
is people watching the news that they think are news, but it is not. News stories like whether the president is a citizen of the United States, that's not news. That's fallacy. That was carried on your network on Fox News for years.
It was carried on every network, but it wasn't endorsed by any responsible
Any person born to a U.S. citizen woman would be a U.S. citizen child.
You know what? I got to say, I think Senator Pinckney, I know you're a good friend of his, and I know you're upset, but I don't think he would have embraced that kind of rhetoric today, sir. I really don't. But we appreciate you coming on. All right.
There, so you hear the guy very, very pointedly says Fox News. I mean, that's what he said. Fox News. I can put that in quotes. We can quote him as saying Fox News, and as if somehow this kid listened to Fox News and that's what caused him to go into a church and start killing people. And Bill O'Reilly, of course, ain't having that, and called him out. And you heard him do everything he can to say it was Fox News without admitting that he's saying it's Fox News. Now, of course, Obama also came out against the shooting, and this is what he had to say.
We don't have all the facts, but we do know that, once again, innocent people were killed in part because someone who wanted to inflict harm had no trouble getting their hands on a gun. Now is the time for mourning and for healing. But let's be clear. At some point, we as a country will have to reckon with the fact that this type of mass violence does not happen in other advanced countries. It doesn't happen in other places with this kind of frequency. And it is in our power to do something about it.
Yeah, we don't have any of the facts yet. We don't have any of the facts, but we have emotions, don't we? So we're going to be driven by emotions to do the liberal thing here, and that is we just need to ban guns. We need to do something about guns. We're the only country in the advanced world that has this problem, according to Mr. Obama. So I guess what the Islamic State is doing doesn't count, because they're not doing it in an advanced country. At least, I mean, they tried once here in Texas, and that didn't work out. But, they're doing it. They did it over in France. They're doing it over in Iraq and Syria. What Boko Haram is doing to Christians in Nigeria is just absolutely horrific. President Obama doesn't seem to be aware of this. And, where was his speech? Where was his comments when Chris Kyle was killed? Chris Kyle, an American hero. People lined the streets to see his funeral procession go by. Where was Mr. Obama's comments for that? What about Charlie Hebdo? Does that not count? Was that not a shooting in a advanced country where it's so advanced, according to him, that, you can't even have a gun in France. Even the police are walking around with no guns. There was a cop on the ground begging for his life because he didn't have a gun. Is that the kind of country he wants here? While he's up there pounding on the United States, what somebody needs to tell the president is that there are 110 countries on this planet that have a higher murder rate than the United States. Did you know that? 110 countries higher. Honduras is number one. Look it up. But he's going to say that we're the only ones that have this mass shooting problem. What about the 7 people that were killed in a mall in the Netherlands, Mr. Obama? What about those people? That happened in 2011. What about the 7 people killed in 2012 at a school massacre in France? What about that? There was 3 people killed in Australia in a cafe. That was back in 2014. There was 69 people killed in Norway at a summer camp in 2011. Gun violence in the UK is up 89% in the last 10 years. 89%. Is that the kind of utopia that he's trying to turn the United States into? Take all of our guns away so that we do have the problem these countries have? That seems to be his plan. And just a small side note here. So far there have been over 1,119 shootings in Chicago this year. And it's only June. That's the number in Chicago, in the gun-free zone, in the it's illegal to have a gun, in the you can't own a gun, in the you can't practice your Second Amendment right city of Chicago. 1,119 shootings so far in 2015. It doesn't work, libtards. It does not work. You will never have a gun-free utopia. Now, this next thing, this is absolutely priceless. I mean, priceless. The Pope, I mean, he set up these liberals in the worst way, and I think they really just don't know what to do with themselves. The Pope came out, or he didn't actually come out with it yet. It's being slowly leaked out, which I think is odd. But anyway, slowly leaking out is the Pope's new encyclical, which is basically a command from the Pope. And this is part of the Pope's encyclical. You ready for this? Climate change is a global problem with grave implications: environmental, social, economic, political, and for the distribution of goods. It represents one of the principal challenges facing humanity in our day. Its worst impact will probably be felt by developing countries in coming decades. Many of the poor live in areas particularly affected by phenomena related to warming, and their means of sustenance are largely dependent on natural reserves and ecosystemic services such as agriculture, fishing, and forestry. They have no other financial activities or resources which can enable them to adapt to climate change or to face natural disasters, and their access to social services and protection is very limited. Now, the left, who is normally against the Pope, they came out and they love this. This is from Think Progress, okay? The papal encyclical on climate change, highly anticipated and applauded by people who accept and care about the fact that human-caused climate change is threatening our existence, came out Thursday morning. Not everyone was pleased. In the lead-up to the release of the document, which was leaked earlier this week, climate deniers and conspiracy theorists have rallied against Pope Francis, theologian and former chemist, for wading into the political issue of taking care of the environment. So all of a sudden, these guys are the Pope's cheerleaders. As long as he's on there, so as long as he says something that they approve of, they're his cheerleaders. They're his cheerleaders. This is from Media Matters. Pope Francis has issued an encyclical on climate change that cites the scientific consensus that human activities are driving global warming and calls for reduced fossil fuel use in order to help the world's poor. There's some more cheerleaders for you. All of a sudden, these people love the Pope. Why? Because he jumped on the global warming bandwagon. That little goofy hat that he wears, now we know what it's made of. There's tinfoil under there. Here, this is what Nancy Pelosi had to say about the Pope's encyclical.
This morning, Pope Francis released his encyclical, Laudato Si, on care for our common home. Pope Francis writes with beauty, with clarity, and with moral force. This encyclical stands as an urgent call for government to industry and the whole community to honor the responsibility to preserve God's creation. This planet is God's creation, and we have a moral responsibility to preserve it. And as we do so, we have to recognize the impact of climate change on the poor. And we have to further recognize the impact of solutions to reversing the climate crisis, solutions and their impact on the poor. And the Pope, in his statement, talks so much about the impact on the poor. His Holiness is bringing light on this subject. He said that we cannot make ourselves God by usurping the power. We do not have the right, he said, to trample God's creation. We really must listen to His Holiness as we go forward.
So that's Nancy Pelosi, another cheerleader for this Pope. Well, you talk about being set up, and I mean big time. The Pope set these people up like nobody's business. So now, after having that put out, that he's all for global warming, that he's, jumping on the tinfoil hat bandwagon, Shortly thereafter comes another little bit of leak of his encyclical, which says this: since everything is interrelated, concern for the protection of nature is also incompatible with the justification of abortion. How can we genuinely teach the importance of concern for other vulnerable beings, however troublesome or inconvenient they may be, if we fail to protect a human embryo, even when its presence is uncomfortable and creates difficulties? This is going to cause these people to just come unglued. I mean, you don't mess with abortion. I mean, liberalism is a religion, and abortion is like the sacrifice. I mean, that's just, that's what it is. You just don't mess with that. And first he's out there for global warming, making these people all line up and ooh, rah, 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 cheering on the Pope, and then he throws this at them. They must all be like, what? It's just so funny. And if you haven't heard, Brian Williams, who said, anyway, that he was in a helicopter that was fired upon, and it was later revealed that the helicopter fired upon was not one he was in, but was in a helicopter that the one he was in was following an hour behind. That helicopter was fired upon. Anyway, that's only one of the many stories this guy made up or embellished. He will not be returning to NBC. He was suspended for 6 months for lying on air multiple times about all this heroism and difficulty that he endured and whatever, and none of it which was true. Also stuff from Katrina, all kinds of stuff. But he was suspended for 6 months. NBC has now announced he will not be coming back. He will be going to MSNBC, which is pretty much just the best way they can insult him, I think. So he's being punished. He's going to where nobody will ever see him again. And that's what Brian Williams gets for stolen valor, let's just say. Trying to act like he's been parts of these huge stories when he hasn't. And that's it for this week, folks. Thanks again for listening in today. Don't forget, if you want to email me, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, any problems with something I've said, maybe you just want to tell me to shut up, you can feel free to do that. Maybe you just need to rant or vent. If you want, I'll read it on the air. Drop me a line. The email address is theraywarnershow@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out the opinions page. Lots of great articles there that I get submitted to me, and I post them there. And don't forget, I don't know how you listen to The Ray Warner Show and the quick reports, but there are many ways that you can listen. If you go to theraywarnershow.com, you can subscribe, and you'll get a link in your email. You can also subscribe at The Ray Warner Show YouTube channel. Every show and every quick report is posted on the Facebook page and on the Twitter. So you can like the page or follow us on the Twitter, and you'll get the show there. You can also get the show and subscribe at iTunes. You can also download it from iTunes or from theraywarnershow.com. And if you stop on by, don't forget to donate. The Ray Warner Show depends on donations from our listeners. However you listen, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week, folks. So long.